Hello guys, this is your friend Naruto Multiverse 2.0 and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto build harem with female Haku and Fu Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. 12-year-old boy stood atop the Hokage monument looking out over the village that hated and abused him for the last 12 years. The boy stood at an even 5 foot, had spiky blonde hair and had crystal blue eyes. His name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, son of the 4th Hokage Minato Namikaze and his wife Kushina Uzumaki. As he stood there looking over Konoha, a voice spoke to him in his mind. Are you sure about this, Odoto? Yes, Kurumi Ne-chan. If I stay here nothing will change, there are only a few people here who truly care for me. I left them a letter that will be delivered in a week's time. The first chance we get we're leaving, replied Naruto as he headed for the main gate to meet his team and the client they were to protect. On his walk, he remembered the first time he met his older sister figure. Flashback. A 5-year-old Naruto was running through the village on the night of his birthday. Behind was an angry mob of civilians for their normal fox hunt as they had taken to calling it. Naruto never understood why everyone hated and abused him, and it was always worse on his birthday. As Naruto kept running, he turned a corner and ran down the alleyway. He quickly noticed his mistake when he ran into a dead end. Looking back he saw the mob closing in on him with sadistic grins on their faces. Naruto pleaded for them not to hurt him but that only fell on deaf ears as the civilians began beating him. They used broken bottles, knives, and even wooden clubs with nails hammered in the end of them. Naruto felt each strike on his body, each cut that was left and each bone they broke. Unable to bear the pain anymore, Naruto slipped into unconsciousness. Mindscape. Naruto woke and found himself in a sewer-like place with water on the floor and pipes running along the wall. Come this way, little one, came a voice from down the hall. Naruto decided to listen to it and try to figure out where he was. He came to a large room with a large gate in the middle with a piece of paper with the kanji for seal on it. He walked toward the gate and saw 2 crimson eyes looking at him. A woman stepped out of the darkness and looked to be just around 6 feet tall. She had a rather well-developed body and had on a light red kimono. She had bright reddish-orange hair that reached about mid-back. What really caught Naruto's eyes was the 9 tails flowing behind her and the 2 fox ears she had on her head. Who are you and where are we? Asked a confused blonde. My name is Kurumi and we are in your mindscape, replied Kurumi. This is my mind. I didn't think my mind would look like this. Is there any way I can change it? Naruto asked as he looked around. It is your mind kit, you can do anything you want in here. Naruto closed his eyes. For a few moments nothing happened. Then the walls and cage was gone along with the water on the floor and the ceiling. All of a sudden Naruto and Kurumi were standing in a wide open grassy field surrounded by a forest. Through the middle of the clearing was a small river that flowed into a pond. There was a 2-story house that appeared next to the tree line and looked like a traditional Japanese house. The seal that was on the gate was turned into a necklace and appeared around Kurumi's neck. Naruto opened his eyes and looked around and seemed satisfied with his work. There we go, a beautiful place to live for a beautiful girl. Naruto replied, causing Kurumi to blush slightly. Come now, you need to rest a little bit and then I will explain everything as I'm sure you have plenty of questions. Kurumi said as she led Naruto into the house. As Naruto fell asleep, Kurumi started forcing a little of her chakra through the seal to take control of the young boy's body. Real world. A red glow started to cover Naruto's body as Kurumi took control. His nails grew longer as his teeth grew sharper. His eyes turned a dark crimson as slits appeared in them. You dare hurt this innocent child, now you'll see who the true demon is, you bastards. Growled Kurumi as she leapt into the crowd of civilians and began tearing them apart. She slashed the throat of one and then snapped the neck of another. All that was heard was bones breaking and blood leaking out of their bodies. As the demonic chakra receded back into Naruto's body, he fell to the ground still unconscious. A few minutes later, Hiruzen appeared with a group of Anbu and took Naruto to the hospital and cleaned up the mess of bodies. After Naruto awoke and explained to the Hokage that he didn't remember anything that happened, the Kage left two Anbu to watch over Naruto's room. Naruto fell back asleep and was woken by Kurumi. She explained who she was, which at first shocked Naruto, but after she explained what happened, he didn't have any bad feeling toward the demon fox. He was amazed to find out that he was the son of two famous Konoha ninja, including the Hokage that he looked up to as his idol. What really made Naruto mad was the fact that no one wanted to tell him the truth and always turned away from the subject when he asked. After he learned of where his clan originally came from, it was then he decided to leave the Hidden Leaf village the first chance he got and restart his clan in his home country. With help of Kurumi, he learned he had a Kekkei Genkei that was called the Crystal Release that he got from his mother's side of the family. He also had an affinity for the wind, fire, and earth release. The fire and earth was how he had the crystal release. Kurumi was also able to help him sneak into the Uzumaki compound and seal up everything that was rightfully his for when he decided to leave. Flashback end. Over the years, Naruto and Kurumi had become close, to the point to where they saw each other as siblings. The only thing Naruto didn't like was the fact that he had to play the dead last through the academy years and couldn't show everyone what he was capable of really doing. He also couldn't wait and get out of the orange outfit he wore to further convince people. After Kurumi explained that deception was a ninja's best weapon, he calmed down and listened to his older sister. Naruto made it to the main gate where his two teammates and client was waiting on him. The only one that was missing was his sensei. After a few minutes of waiting, Kakashi showed up and they decided to move out and head toward Wave Country. The group had just finished fighting two Kiri missing ninja known as the Demon Brothers. Team 7 learned that they were sent to kill Tazuna and that there may be other ninja on the road ahead. Kakashi tied the Demon Brothers up and sent word back to the Hokage about what was happening. Meanwhile, Naruto was having his own conversation with his sister. So what do you think, Nei-chan? Naruto asked. You can try and convince them to go with you. We will need some strong ninja once we get to Uzu and these two could help. Replied Kurumi. Naruto nodded in response and excused himself to the bathroom. Once he was out of sight, he made a shadow clone and sent it to hide until the team left. Once Team 7 and Tazuna was out of sight, the shadow clone appeared in front of the tied-up Demon Brothers. What do you want, kid? Asked Gozu. Release us so we can kill you and then finish our job. Maizu said, getting a nod from his brother. I am only a shadow clone and I'm not releasing you just yet. I want to offer you a place to call home, you won't have to run anymore. You can either come with me or wait here until the Konoha ninja come and take you back to the Hidden Leaf, and who knows what will happen there. Naruto said. Why should we trust you? Asked Gozu. I'm not saying you should, but I give you my word and I never go back on my word. As far as I know, I am the last of the Uzumaki clan. I am returning to Uzushiogakure to restart my clan and I will need ninja to help get the village running again. Like I said, I am offering you a place to call home and a way for you to stop running. Naruto explained. The demon brother talked quietly amongst themselves for a few minutes before looking back at Naruto. We accept, but you must do something for us, said Maizu. I will try, that's all I can do. Very well, there are two more missing nin that your team will meet up ahead. It is Zabuza Momochi and his adopted daughter Haku. They have been running a lot longer than we have, we want you to ask them to come with you as well. Naruto agreed before cutting the brothers free. Is there anywhere you two can hide out until I am ready to leave? Naruto asked. Maizu took out a small map and handed it to Naruto. We will be here once you are ready to leave. Gozu said before he and his brother disappeared. The clone then dispelled itself. Naruto received the clone's memories just as his team arrived at Tazuna's house. After laying his sensei down in a spare room that Tazuna's daughter Tsunami offered to him, he went out into the forest to train. Well, your trip got a little more interesting, Odoto. Kurumi said with a smile laugh. Gee, I think Nei-chan. How am I supposed to convince the demon of the hidden mist to come to Uzu with me? Naruto replied as he made clones to work on his father's jutsu as he sat down to meditate. We will cross that bridge once we get to that point, Kit. Kurumi replied before laying down to get some sleep. Naruto and his team was sitting around the kitchen table having dinner with Tazuna and his daughter and grandson. It was a quiet evening until Inari spoke up. Why do you even bother? Gato will just kill you all the first chance he gets. Heroes don't exist anymore. Inari screamed. Heroes exist everywhere. They may not be alive or they may not be around right now, but heroes do exist. I have a hero that I have always looked up to. He died the day I was born protecting the Hidden Leaf Village. I never knew that my hero was in fact my father who died the day I was born along with my mother. You knew them, didn't you, Kakashi-sensei? Naruto asked as he looked in Kakashi's direction. Why, you know? Kakashi asked with his visible eye wide. I've known for quite a while. I even know that you were my father's favorite student. Replied Naruto as he started to get up. How? Was all Kakashi could ask. That doesn't matter right now. Heroes exist, Inari. My hero may be dead, but he will always be my hero. Naruto replied as he walked out the door, leaving a very confused Team 7. Naruto made his way out to a clearing a little ways off from Tazuna's house. He decided to train a little more while he tried to figure out a way to find Zabuza and Haku. You sure it was a good idea telling the Cyclops that you know who your father is? Asked Kurumi. Don't know, but he won't bother me about it until we are back in Konoha, and I don't plan on going back there right now. Naruto replied. Naruto woke the next morning to find himself lying on the ground. Guess I trained a little too much last night. Thought Naruto. Indeed you did, but we have company right now. It smells like that hunter nin that was with Zabuza yesterday. Kurumi said through the mental link. Naruto sat up against the tree he was under and waited for the hunter nin to step out. A few minutes later, a girl that looked to be just a couple years older than himself. She had long black hair and dark brown eyes and wore a light blue kimono. Naruto couldn't help but think that this girl was really beautiful. She stopped walking once she saw Naruto staring at her. Hello, is everything alright? Haku asked. Naruto finally snapped out of his thoughts. Sorry, I didn't mean to stare. I just didn't expect to see a pretty girl out in the middle of the forest. I hate to disappoint, but I'm actually a boy. My name is Haku. I know you're not a boy, Haku. Males and females have very different smells for one. And for two, I was sent by the demon brothers to talk to you and Zabuza. Naruto replied, causing Haku to go wide-eyed and quickly make a few ice senbon. What do you need with Zabuza, and why would the demon brothers send you to talk to them? How do I know you ain't lying? Haku asked. Naruto unsealed the map he was given by Maizu and Gozu and handed it to Haku. They gave me that to find them once I get ready to leave. I offered them a place to live so that wouldn't have to run anymore. They asked me to offer you and Zabuza the same. I just want to talk to Zabuza. If he refuses, then I will simply leave and be on my way. Fine, but if I see any sign that you try to harm Zabuza, I will kill you. Haku replied with a very serious tone. Haku led Naruto deeper into a thicker part of the forest. They arrived at a small hut-like place that was suspended in the trees by cables. Naruto followed Haku as she jumped up to the door and led him inside. Inside the hut wasn't anything special, it was just a small temporary place for someone to spend a few nights. Lying in a bed against one of the walls was a bandaged man that Naruto assumed was Zabuza. "To-san, are you awake?" Haku asked. "What do you need, Haku?" Zabuza asked as he turned toward the girl. When he saw Naruto standing with her, he jumped out of bed, ignoring the pain in his body, and swung at Naruto with Kubikiribocho. Naruto quickly unsealed a katana from a seal on his wrist and blocked the incoming attack. When Zabuza saw the sword, his eyes went wide. Is that the Aki no Shi? Red Death, Zabuza asked. How do you know of my mother's katana? Naruto asked as he pushed Zabuza's sword away from him. So Kushina had a little gaki, huh? I once crossed paths with your mother during my younger days before I became part of the Seven Swordsmen. She was one of the few people that matched me in Kenjutsu back then. I never believed the rumors that the Uzumaki were known for their Fuinjutsu and Kenjutsu until I met her. But on to the matter at hand, why are you here and what is keeping me from killing you? Zabuza asked as he moved in front of Haku. For one, you are weakened right now, Zabuza. For two, I am a lot stronger than you think I am. Naruto said before Zabuza interrupted him. You expect me to believe a genin could stand even a slight chance against me? You're not even a match for Haku. Zabuza laughed. Nei-chan, I'm gonna borrow some of your power. Naruto thought as he was surrounded by a red chakra cloak. Zabuza, in his weakened state, had to use his sword to help him stand as the blonde in front of him directed his killing intent and chakra pressure right at him. Don't judge people by their looks, Zabuza. I am the Jinchuriki for the Kyuubi no Kitsune. Naruto said as he looked right at Zabuza with crimson eyes. Just as soon as the power appeared, it vanished. I just want to talk for a few minutes. I just ask that you hear me out before I go on my way. Zabuza knew he couldn't fight off a Jinchuriki in the state he was in now. He also wasn't going to have his daughter fight him either, so he decided the least he could do was listen. Very well, say what you want. I am going to offer you the same thing I offered the Demon Brothers, a place to call home so you two don't have to run anymore. Maizu and Gozu accepted and asked me to offer you the same before we left. Where would our new home be? Haku asked. She always hoped that she and Zabuza would be able to stay in one place and quit running at some point in time. Hopefully this would be that time if Zabuza would accept. In the village of Uzushiogakure in the land of whirlpools. It was destroyed during the Second Shinobi War, but I am going to rebuild and restart my clan there. Naruto replied. How are you going to do anything with only you, the Demon Brothers, and as if we decide to go with you? And what about Konoha? Why are you leaving there in the first place? Zabuza asked out of curiosity. The villagers never liked me, they hated me and they abused me every chance they got. I only had a few people who really cared for me back at the village and I left them letters saying what I was doing. And I know that there may only be us 5 for now, but we will offer people a home just like I offered you all, ninja and civilian alike. So I ask again, would you like to come with me? Zabuza and Haku talked between themselves quietly for a few minutes before looking back at the blonde. I have wanted to stop running for a while now to keep Haku safe. We accept your offer, Gaki. Zabuza said, getting a smile from Haku and Naruto. Are you able to travel like this? Naruto asked. As long as we rest every so often I will be fine. Zabuza said as he stood and placed Kubikiribocho on his back. There a room I can change in? I really want to get out of this orange tracksuit. Haku pointed to a nearby room as Naruto went in and closed the door. See? Easier than you thought, Kit. Yeah, now we just need to get to Uzu and rebuild it before bringing people in to live there. Naruto said as he began changing. When Naruto came out of the room, he was wearing a pair of black ninja pants with a print of orange shuriken on each knee. He had a tight, black shirt with orange trim that showed off his developed muscles for a kid his age. He wore the standard black shinobi sandals and a black bracelet on each wrist that had his weapon sealed inside. When Haku saw the new outfit, she couldn't help but stare with a slight pink blush to her cheeks, causing Zabuza to let out a small chuckle. Seems like I might have to have a talk with the Gaki. That ought to be fun. He thought to himself with a sadistic smile hidden by his bandages. Alright, let's go get Maizu and Gozu and then we'll head for Uzu. Naruto said, getting nods from Zabuza and Haku. Had been 2 days since the interaction between Naruto and Inari. Kakashi woke the next day and walked out to see Sakura and Sasuke doing the tree climbing exercise. He looked around for Naruto but couldn't find him. Even if he didn't come back the other night and spent all his time training, he should have made it back by now. Kakashi thought as he walked toward the two genin. Have either of you seen Naruto? Sasuke stopped running about halfway of the tree he was on and looked at his sensei. I haven't seen him since he left 2 nights ago, sensei. Should we go look for him? Sasuke asked, landing in front of Kakashi with Sakura. Kakashi nodded before speaking. Sakura, stay here and watch over the family. If anything happens, light one of the signal flares and we'll be back. Come on, Sasuke, let's see if we can find the blonde Gaki. Sasuke and Kakashi searched for about 30 minutes before coming to a small clearing that looked like it had been used for training or a fight. Kakashi made a few hand signs before slamming his hands on the ground. There was a puff of smoke, and when it cleared, there was a small brown dog with a blue vest and a Konoha headband. Yo Kakashi, what do you need? Asked the dog. Pakun, I need you to track down Naruto's scent. He's missing and we can't seem to find him. Kakashi replied, getting a nod from Pakun, who began to sniff around. Pakun walked around for a few minutes before looking back to the two ninja. Come on, he went this way. There's another scent with his, but I don't know who they are. Pakun said as he leapt off into the trees. Sasuke and Kakashi followed the ninja hound for about 3 miles until they came upon a small hut being suspended in the trees by a few cables. They slowly their way into the hideout, watching for traps or enemy ninja. After making it into the hut without seeing any ninja or setting off traps, they looked around to find the place empty, all except for a letter to Zabuza from Gato. Seeing that Naruto was possibly captured by Zabuza, Kakashi began to worry. Pakun, can you tell which way they went? Kakashi asked. Naruto's scent and 2 others went into the northeast. Pakun replied. What's going on, sensei? Sasuke asked. I think Naruto may have been captured by Zabuza. Kakashi said as he turned to a map hung on the wall. If they headed northeast from here, then maybe they are trying to take him back to Kiri to probably join in the civil war. Kakashi said while thinking something else. Could Zabuza have found out he is a Jinchuriki and took Naruto to Kiri? Sasuke looked at the map before his eyes landed on a small area of land to the northeast of Wave Country. Land of whirlpools, so he used this mission to finally go home. But why are you taking Zabuza with you, Naruto? You better be careful, Ototo, you promised to help me find Itachi. Sasuke thought quietly to himself. Flashback. A 7-year-old Naruto was walking down the road to his house after escaping from another mob. As he was walking, he noticed a black-haired boy sitting on a pier next to the river. As Naruto walked by, the black-haired boy looked up at Naruto. As Naruto looked into Sasuke's eyes, Naruto saw the same thing that Naruto himself always felt, loneliness and anger. He's just like me, Naruto thought as he walked by. Indeed, he is Kit. He just lost his entire clan, it was his brother that did it. You two are more alike than you think, why don't you try and be friends? Kurumi said. Naruto just nodded before he turned around and walked back to Sasuke. Naruto didn't say anything as he just simply sat down next to the brooding boy. It was quiet for a few minutes before Naruto spoke up. You're just like me, Naruto said, causing Sasuke to look at him out of the corner of his eye. What do you mean, how am I just like you? Sasuke asked. I can see the loneliness and anger in your eyes. I can't say I know what it's like to lose your family, I never had any to begin with. Only a few people even care for me here. Naruto explained. Silence once again claimed the area for a few minutes. How do you deal with it all? I have seen you around the village always acting carefree and happy like none of it bothers you. Sasuke asked. Sometimes it does get to me, but I plan on leaving and returning to my clan's home country the first chance I get. Naruto said as he began to explain about his plan while leaving out the parts of the fox. After Naruto explained his plan, Sasuke explained what had happened with his brother and his clan. Don't let the hatred eat at you. Use it to push yourself to get stronger. We'll get stronger together and I promise to help you with your brother. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, by the way. Naruto said. Sasuke Uchiha. Flashback end. Sasuke was snapped out of his thoughts when Kakashi started talking again. Pakun, go straight to the Hokage and tell him to send the Hiraishin team with 3 Anbu to replace us for this mission. I have the seal for them to jump to. Tell him Team 7 needs to return to Konoha immediately due to an S-ranked emergency. Kakashi said as he motioned for Sasuke to follow. Hiruzen Sarutobi, 3rd Hokage of Konoha, was sitting at his desk working on his endless piles of paperwork. All of a sudden, there was a poof of smoke and his papers were blue everywhere when a dog landed on his desk. Kakashi better have a damned good reason sending one of his dogs here. The cage growled out looking at his paperwork everywhere. Kakashi said to send the Hiraishin team with 3 Anbu to replace Team 7 for the mission they are on. He said it is an S-ranked emergency. Pakun said with all seriousness. Hiruzen's eyes went wide at hearing that and he pushed a small button under his desk. Within seconds there was an Anbu kneeling before him. Orders Hokage-sama, asked the Anbu. Bring me Neko, Ryu, and Kuma immediately along with the Hiraishin team. Hiruzen said. As soon as the Anbu left, a tall man with long white hair with red lines under his eyes stepped out of the shadows. He had a horned headband with the kanji for oil on it. He wore a green short shirt kimono with matching pants with mesh armor underneath it. He had a red haori with 2 yellow circles and red wooden sandals. What's going on, old man? I don't know Jiraiya, but I have a bad feeling. Hiruzen said as the ones he requested entered his office. Neko, you are in charge during this mission. You are to protect a bridge builder by the name of Tazuna. He may be targeted by missing nin hired by Gato. The Hiraishin team will take you there and return with Team 7, Kakashi has the seal with him. Go now, ordered the cage. Everyone got into formation before they suddenly disappeared. About 5 minutes later, Team 7 appeared in the Hokage's office. Sakura looked like she had no idea what was going on. Sasuke was trying to hide a small knowing smirk and managed to do so from everyone but Jiraiya, and Kakashi was fidgeting badly under the aged cage's gaze. What is this S-ranked emergency? Asked Hiruzen. Hokage-sama, I believe that Naruto was either captured or killed during the mission. Kakashi said. What? Shouted the Toad Sage and the god of shinobi. Explain now, Hatake, demanded the cage. The client's grandson had said something about heroes not existing which caused Naruto to say that they do. During this Naruto said that his hero was the Yondaime Hokage and that he knew who his parents were. Naruto then left to go do what I assumed to be training. He was gone for 2 days and didn't return. Sasuke and I then used Pakun to track his scent. We came to a hideout that seemed to be Zabuza's. Pakun said he could smell Naruto's scent along with 2 others headed northeast. That was when I sent him here to inform you. Kakashi explained while starting to sweat under the cage's glare. What happened next no one was expecting as Kakashi suddenly found himself implanted in one of the walls courtesy of one pissed-off Toad Sage. Before anyone could act, Jiraiya appeared in front of Kakashi and grabbed him by his vest and brought him to eye level. Why the hell didn't you check on your genin sooner, Kakashi? Jiraiya yelled in anger. I just assumed he was out training. I didn't think this would happen. Kakashi replied, nearly pissing himself from the killer intent of Jiraiya. Instead of replying, Jiraiya just dropped Kakashi and turned to Hiruzen. I'm going to look for my godson. Sakura and Sasuke's eyes widened at hearing that. Sakura's out of surprise and Sasuke's out of surprise and anger. Jiraiya started walking toward the window when he was stopped by Sasuke. Did you just say that you were Naruto's godfather? Yeah, why does it concern you? Jiraiya asked, turning back to the Uchiha. Sasuke closed his eyes for a brief second. When he reopened them, his Sharingan spun to life. Sasuke rushed forward in a burst of speed, surprising everyone. Sasuke launched his fist forward and connected with Jiraiya's gut, causing him to double over in pain. You are his godfather and you were never around when he needed you. He never had any family at all in this village and only a few that actually care for him, including myself. We became friends shortly after my clan was massacred. We started hanging out more and more until we considered each other brothers. We kept each other from going insane after all the stuff that happened here in this village. He was always abused by this village for some unknown reason, and because of that he could have used you being around just a little bit. If he is your godson, then why the hell were you never around? Shouted the enraged Uchiha. Everyone was silent for the first few minutes. No one thought that the Uchiha cared for the blonde due to the act the two put up of always fighting with each other. Jiraiya was the first to speak. I was told by Hokage-sama that he was taking care of Naruto and that everything was okay. During that time I was running my spy network gathering information for the village. I didn't know things had turned out that bad. Jiraiya explained while looking down. Sasuke then turned to the village leader. Naruto's mother, was she named Kushina Uzumaki? Who told you that? Asked the Kage wide-eyed. You just confirmed it for me. Somehow Naruto did find out who his parents are, but he never told me. My mom told me she was best friends with a woman named Kushina Uzumaki after she moved here from her village. Before the clan was killed, she always said that I should spend time with Naruto and get to know him better. At the time I didn't know why, but now I understand. Naruto was the child of her best friend and my mom wanted me and Naruto to become friends like her and Kushina-san. Sasuke explained, getting surprised looks from everyone else. What else do you know, Sasuke? Kakashi asked. Since I know that Kushina-san is Naruto's mother, my guess about his father seems pretty accurate now. Naruto is the son of the Yondaime Hokage, Minato Namikaze. My mom was one of the few people who knew of the marriage between Kushina and Minato, and I learned about it through her. Silence once again took over the room. Sasuke just looked at the other four ninja in the room waiting for one to speak. So what are you going to do, old man? Asked Jiraiya. Go and look for Naruto, Jiraiya. Until you find some evidence that he is still alive, we have to assume the worst. I will address the village as a whole about all this. I don't believe Naruto to be dead, but we need evidence to be sure. The Kage said, rubbing his head. You know that the village will react badly knowing how they treated Minato's son. Jiraiya said as he leapt out the window as Hiruzen dismissed everyone. It was late evening in Konoha. The village had just learned that Naruto was the Yondaime's son and a lot were shocked. Some were even afraid that Minato was going to return from the grave in vengeance for his son. Later that evening, a few puffs of smoke could be seen pooping up in different places around the village. At a local ramen stand, 4 people could be seen sitting and talking about the scrolls they received. So he finally decided to go through with his plan. Said Tyuki Ichiraku, owner of the Ichiraku ramen stand. Yeah, I guess he did. Sure is going to be quiet around here without the blonde goofball. Said a purple-haired woman known as Yugao Azuki. Do you think he'll ever be back around? Maybe drop by and say hi or something. Asked Ayame Ichiraku. He'll definitely be back around. He knows we care about him and he'll be back to let us know how he's doing. Besides, do you honestly think he can stay away from your guy's ramen? Anko Mitarashi asked with a laugh, causing the others to laugh as well. A group of 5 ninja were hopping their way through the trees headed toward Uzu when one of the ninjas started sneezing violently. After a few minutes of sneezing, he continued hopping through the trees. Man, someone must be talking about me pretty badly right now. Naruto said to himself. Could be the ones you left the scrolls for Ototo. Kurumi said. Yeah, you're probably right. Should have been about time for the scrolls to appear. Naruto thought as he kept jumping. Behind him, the other 4 ninja were talking amongst. Hey Gaki, can we ask you a couple things? Zabuza asked. Go for it. How good are you with your mother's blade? Questioned Zabuza. Not too great. I definitely need more work with it. I had a sensei back in Konoha who was a master of Kenjutsu and she trained me in the basics, but that's all we got around to. I was actually hoping you could teach me sometime. Naruto asked. I don't mind, but just so you know, my training is hell on earth, kid. Zabuza said. Do you know what nature affinity you have? Asked Maizu. I have a strong wind affinity that I got from my father. I also have the Shotenkeke Genkai from my mother, which gives me lightning and earth as well. Naruto said, creating a crystal in his hand, surprising the four ninja. Well, you told us who your mother is, can we know who your father was? Asked Gozu with curiousness in his voice. Well, my father was one of the strongest people of Konoha. He took out a large portion of the Iwa army during the Third Shinobi War and a flee on sight order against him. Naruto said, causing Zabuza's eyes to widen. Oh, you have got to be kidding me. Kushina would end up marrying him, wouldn't she? Zabuza asked with a sigh. Who are you talking about, Toussan? Do you know who Naruto's father is? Haku asked. His father is none other than the Yellow Flash of Konoha, the Yondaime Hokage Minato Namikaze. I can't believe you are the son of two of the most powerful ninja in history. Well, who knows, maybe having their kid around will bring some fun our way. Zabuza said, chuckling. So what do you plan on doing once we reach Uzu, Naruto? Haku asked, jumping up beside him. First, I want to start rebuilding the village and offering people a new home. After that, I am gonna try and find the other Jinchuriki and see if they would like to join. If they were treated like me, then I'm sure they won't mind joining. After that, I'm not really sure what I want to do. Naruto replied, jumping down to the forest floor with the others. We should camp here for the night. We should be able to reach Uzu in the next day or two according to the map we have. Starting tomorrow, I'll help you with your training. I need to get Haku back to training as well. Zabuza said as he started setting up camp along with the other four ninja. The group of 5 ninja stood overlooking a small bandit camp that the Demon Brothers had found a few miles away. Are you sure about this, Zabuza? Asked Maizu, looking around the camp. Yes, I'm sure. It will be a good way to see how strong the Gaki is. Plus, it will give them both some experience at being a ninja. Are you sure that the missing nin in the camp is only a Chunin? Zabuza asked. Hi, Zabuza. The missing nin is Hiro Asanuma, Chunin from Iwagakure. His bounty is 500,000 ryo, wanted dead or alive, plus an extra 50,000 for each scroll recovered from him that he stole from the village. His skill is mid-Chunin at best and he has the Yotenkeke Genkai. Explained Gozu. Alright, listen up you two, there are about 30 bandits and a Chunin level missing nin in that camp. I want you to go in and take them out any way that you seem fit to do so. Just don't destroy the body of Hiro, we will need it to turn in for the bounty, well, at least the head anyway. There have been rumors that he has been kidnapping young girls and women as well. If there are any here, save them if possible. We will watch from here and move in if you need help. Zabuza explained, looking at the two and getting nods from them both. Ototo, go ahead and use that jutsu. I want to watch with Zabuza just in case you two need help. Kurumi explained, getting a slight nod from Naruto. Naruto made a series of hand signs that the other four didn't know. Kyuubi Bunshin, Naruto said after finishing his hand signs. A red chakra began to envelop Naruto. After a few seconds, the chakra moved away from Naruto and began to take the shape of a human body. A young woman appeared before the group of ninja. She stood about 5 feet 8, just a few inches shorter than Zabuza. She had a dark red kimono and blood-red sandals. Her eyes were a bright crimson and glowed slightly. What surprised the ninja except for Naruto were the 9 flowing tails behind the woman and the set of fox ears on her head. After focusing for a minute, the woman made her tails and ears disappear under a genjutsu. This is Kurumi Ne-chan, the 9-tailed demon fox. Naruto said as he gave his sister a hug, then pulled out an Anbu mask that looked like a fox. I didn't know you could release the Biju, Naruto. And what's with the mask? Haku said, looking at the woman. She isn't fully released. This is just a temporary body that she can use outside the seal, however she has about the same level of power as we do right now. She just wanted to be out just in case we needed with this camp. The mask is just so I don't draw attention to myself right now. Naruto explained as he started walking toward the camp with Haku following slightly behind, putting on her own mask. Do you think the Gaki can handle his first kill? Zabuza asked, watching the two genin walk off. This won't be his first kill. He has killed before and has come to terms that this is a kill or be killed world we live in. Kurumi explained. Naruto and Haku were standing in a tree to the east of the camp scouting the place. Naruto noticed Haku was slightly shaking and decided to figure out what was wrong. What's wrong, Haku? I have never killed someone before and I don't know if I can do it now. I don't want to turn into one of those monsters. Haku explained, looking down. This is a kill or be killed world, we are ninja, and it's what we do. As long you don't take pleasure in killing and only kill for the right reasons, you will be fine. I promise, Haku-chan, Naruto said as he pulled the girl into a hug. Thank you, Naruto-kun. Haku stuttered out. She was glad she had her mask on to hide the blush on her face. As Naruto and Haku got ready to enter the camp, they looked back to see Zabuza, Kurumi, and the demon brothers moving closer to watch their progress and ready to help if need be. Getting a nod from Zabuza, Haku and Naruto disappeared in a snow and leaf shunshin. With Haku appeared near the south of the camp in a tree. She saw two bandits walking around doing what she assumed was a patrol of the area. She watched them for a few moments until they made their way behind one of the tents out of view from the others. She made a small ball of ice and threw it toward the two bandits. It landed behind them without a sound and grew into an ice mirror. She then dropped another one right below her, making another ice mirror. She then jumped down and moved through the mirror below her and shot out of the other with Senbon at the ready. She stuck the Senbon into the back of the two bandits' necks and they fell to the ground dead. Haku had to fight down the urge to throw up when she saw the blood from the bandits on her hands. After a few seconds of calming herself, she continued on toward the tent at the middle of camp. As she snuck through the camp, she came to a larger tent. Peeking through the flap, she saw 5 bandits sitting at different tables in the tent. She made a few hand signs before placing her hand on the ground, Hyoten, chaining ice spears. Where she touched the ground, a small patch of ice appeared and flowed toward the nearest bandit. When the ice touched him, it quickly froze him from the inside out. A spear of ice then shot out from his body, connecting with the next bandit and continuing until each bandit was dead. She stepped back out of the tent and continued on her way, silently killing each bandit she came across. With Naruto. When Naruto reappeared, he was standing near the northern part of the campsite. He unsealed 2 kunai from a seal on his wrist and made his way silently and quickly toward the camp. The first bandit he came to was asleep against a tree near the outside edge of camp. Naruto quickly slit his throat, making sure no one was alerted before moving on. Naruto continued on and found a group of 3 bandits standing guard outside a tent. He went through a few hand signs that he learned after watching Kakashi perform the jutsu. Earth Style. Headhunter Jutsu. Naruto sunk into the ground and appeared with his upper body sticking out of the ground behind the bandits. He grabbed 2 by the ankles and pulled them under the ground. The third noticed his 2 companions disappear and turned around. What the he, was all he got out before he too was pulled into the earth, being buried alive with the other 2. Naruto stepped out of the earth and stepped inside the tent to avoid being seen. When he turned around, he saw a bunch of cages with half women who looked scared and were staring at the middle of the tent. Naruto followed their gaze and saw 2 men and a woman. One man was watching as the other stood over the woman undoing his pants. Naruto unsealed Aki no Shi and unsheathed the blade. With a quick swipe of the blade, the head of the man that was watching was removed from his body. Naruto caught the head and the body and laid them down so he wouldn't alert the other man. The women in the cages saw Naruto and started to scream for help when Naruto motioned for them to stay quiet. Naruto stood and quietly snuck up behind the last man. Naruto flipped the blade over in his hand and slid it between the man's legs. "Burn in hell, you bastard," Naruto said before he brought the blade up, slicing the man in half. After flicking the blood off the blade and resealing it, he turned to the women. "I will be back to free you all as soon as I take care of the others," he said before making a shadow clone. "Stay here and protect them from anyone that might come here. The clone nodded and Naruto made his way out of the tent. Naruto and Haku met up at the large tent in the middle of the campsite after finishing off the remainder of the bandits. They walked to the entrance of the tent and nodded to each other before stepping into it. In the middle of the tent sat Hiro Asanuma on a throne-looking seat with a couple of women off to the side. Hiro looked up and saw the two ninja and grew a light smirk on his face. "You can come with voluntarily or we can force you to come with us," Naruto said. "I'm afraid I won't be going anywhere. I have more than enough bandits to handle two ninja," replied Hiro with a small chuckle. "You mean the ones lying dead around your camp?" Haku asked, causing Hiro's smirk to disappear. "Well, that won't be a problem at all. I need a new toy around here as all my other ones are starting to bore me. How about the girl stays and I will let you leave without any problems?" Hiro said, causing Haku to step back slightly and Naruto to let out a growl. Outside the tent, Kurumi, Zabuza, and the demon brothers were listening just in case they were needed. When Zabuza heard what he said about Haku, Kurumi had to hold him back from busting through the tent. "Let go of me, I'm gonna teach this guy a lesson," Zabuza growled out. "Naruto can handle this. Trust me, this guy is as good as dead," Kurumi replied in a calm voice. "And why's that?" Zabuza asked. "Back in Konoha there was a father and daughter duo that ran a little ramen stand. Naruto was really close to them both and considered them family. The girl was walking home one night and was attacked by a couple of drunk men. She tried fighting them off but they were a lot stronger than she was. When Naruto was walking home he heard her screaming and he immediately rushed off to see what was going on. He saw the two guys trying to have their way with his older sister figure. He let his demonic instinct take over and ended both of their lives. That was his first kill I mentioned earlier. Rapist are one of the things Naruto despises in this world," Kurumi explained. Zabuza calmed down slightly but was still ready to bust through the tent. Naruto and Haku stood staring down Hiro. After his offer was declined by the two genin, he had decided to beat Naruto and take Haku by force. This however didn't go over well with Naruto. Hiro took a step toward Naruto and Haku, causing them both to get into a defensive stance. In a burst of speed that neither of them were expecting, Hiro punched Naruto in the face and kicked Haku in the gut, sending them flying out of the tent. Zabuza, Kurumi, and the demon brothers backed up to where they wouldn't be seen but close enough to keep an eye on the fight. Hiro rushed the two again but had to jump back to avoid the Senbon made of ice and crystal. Hyoten and Shoten, haven't seen those bloodlines around in a while. This will be fun. Haku rushed forward with a kunai as Naruto made a set of hand signs. Hiro met Haku halfway and their kunai clashed as the two ninja tried to gain the upper hand. Hiro was bigger and stronger than Haku and soon overpowered Haku as he punched her in the side of the face, knocking her away. As Haku was sent flying, he threw a few Senbon and managed to land a few of them in his left arm. Naruto had finished his hand signs just as Haku was knocked away. Lightning style. Wolf Fang Bullet. Naruto shouted as launched a ball of lightning from his hand that took shape of a wolf's head. The attack flew straight toward Hiro, who tried to dodge but just hit in the leg by the attack, leaving some nasty burns on his leg. Naruto quickly made 3 Seal-less shadow clones who surrounded Hiro along with the original Naruto. "You really think a few clones are going to do anything?" Hiro asked, breathing hard from the pain of the burns. "Maybe if these were regular clones, but these are shadow clones. A lot more fun to use than regular clones," Naruto said as one of the clones rushed Hiro. As the clone got close enough, he ducked under a punch and kicked Hiro in the side while shouting, "Nah!" Hiro was sent flying toward another clone who jumped in the air and delivered a spinning kick to Hiro's head. Ru! Hiro was then sent flying toward the final clone who delivered a strong kick to Hiro's chin, sending him straight into the air, too. The real Naruto jumped in the air above Hiro and delivered a powerful axe kick to the top of Hiro's head, sending him rocketing straight into the ground. Uzumaki Barrage. Naruto landed back on the ground next to Haku, looking over the downed body of Hiro, who slowly started to rise. Naruto looked to Haku and nodded as Haku began going through a set of hand signs. Hyoten. 1,000 needles of death. Haku stomped one foot on the ground as ice shot out from beneath her foot, freezing Hiro in place. The water in the air began to freeze as ice needles started appearing in the air. Haku brought her hand down and the ice needles flew straight for Hiro, impacting all over his body as he fell to the ground dead. The other 4 ninja appeared just as Naruto finished sealing the body into a scroll and tossing it to Zabuza, who handed it to Maizu. Take that and claim the bounty, then head to Uzu, we'll meet you there. Zabuza said before turning to the 2 genin. Good work you two, very well done. Let's go ahead and head on to Uzu. Not yet, Zabuza-sensei. Hiro had some women caged up in that tent there and I promised them I would save them. We need to get them back to their hometown. Naruto said, getting nods from the remaining 3 ninja. After the ninja got the girls back home, Kurumi returned to the seal and they all headed towards Uzu. The group of 5 ninja stood in front of a large double-door gate that easily rivaled that of Konoha's main gates. They were surprised that the gates were still standing, considering that the village was said to have been destroyed in the last ninja war. As they looked over the gate, they noticed 2 symbols on the gate, one on each door. The first everyone recognized as the Uzumaki clan swirl, the other was a snowflake symbol that caused Haku's eyes to widen. Naruto stepped forward and tried to find some way of opening the large gate. He noticed that there were 2 smaller doors at the bottom of the gate, which had the same symbols on them, that seemed to be about 20 feet high and about 30 feet wide. He tried shoving on them and pushing his chakra through them, but nothing happened. Try some blood, Naruto. The Uzumaki were known for their fuinjutsu, so maybe it has a blood seal on it. Zabuza said, getting a nod from Naruto. Naruto took a kunai and made a small cut along his palm and placed it on the door. The blood flowed into the swirl symbol as he glowed for a few seconds before returning to normal. Once again Naruto tried to open the doors, but nothing happened. Well, at least we know it has to do with a blood seal. There just has to be something else to it. Gozu said, looking over the gate. Haku, who had quietly been looking over the snowflake symbol and watching the others, stepped forward. She made a kunai out of ice and sliced her palm open as well, getting confused looks from the other 4. She stepped forward and placed her hand on the door with the second symbol as blood was sucked into the symbol and started glowing. This caused everyone's eyes to widen, and even more so when the doors swung open, leaving them speechless. How did you do that, Haku? Maizu asked, being the first to get over what just happened. I'm not sure, but that snowflake is the clan symbol for my clan. Haku replied. That don't make any sense. Why would your clan symbol be on Uzushio's gates? Wasn't the Yuki clan from Kiri? Naruto asked. That's what my Ka-san had always told me, but there must be some connection between the Yuki and the Uzumaki. We won't find any answers out here. Haku said as the other nodded and walked inside the gates. As the group walked through the village, they were amazed at how clean the place was. There was no signs that people had died here or that the village was ever attacked other than the buildings that were destroyed. As they walked, they noticed one small section of the village seemed to be in a livable condition. In the shadows of the buildings, people were moving back and forth watching the group of 5. They weren't sure who they were or what their intentions were, but they were ready for anything. Naruto, with his heightened senses due to Kurumi, heard the slight shuffling of footsteps and could smell the people that were hidden. In a whisper that was just loud enough for his group to hear him, Naruto spoke. Don't react to what I say, just keep moving. We aren't alone here, we're surrounded and I can't tell by how many exactly, just that they outnumber us. Naruto replied while observing his surroundings. How can you tell, Naruto? Asked Haku. Like I said before, my senses are higher than others due to Kurumi ne. I can smell and hear them. Naruto replied, getting a nod from Zabuza. He's right, I can just barely make out the chakra signatures. They are really good at staying hidden. Zabuza said. The 5 ninja gave a slight nod to each other before they jumped and landed back to back. Zabuza pulled Kubikiribocho off his back and the demon brothers slipped on their gauntlets. Haku pulled out some Senbon and Naruto unsealed the Aki no Shi from the seal on his wrist. They all were on alert for the first sign of movement. Suddenly, they were surrounded by ninja wielding different weapons. In all, there were about 30 ninja surrounding the group of 5. All the unknown ninja pulled kunai and shuriken from their pouches and threw them at Naruto's group. Naruto and Haku went through a quick set of hand signs and slammed their hands on the ground. Crystal wall, ice wall. Naruto and Haku shouted as a wall of ice and crystal surrounded the group of 5. The large group of ninjas stopped with wide eyes at what they had just seen. A woman that looked to be in her late 20s stepped forward with her hands raised and unarmed. She had snow-white hair and crystal blue eyes. She wore a light blue kimono that showed off her curvaceous body. No one noticed the light blush on Zabuza's face as he looked over the woman. My name is Rei Yuki, current leader of the Yuki clan. May I ask your names? The now known Rei said, shocking the 5 ninja. Naruto stepped forward with his mother's blade still drawn. I am Naruto Uzumaki, only known remaining Uzumaki. This is Zabuza Momochi, the demon brothers Gozu and Maizu, and Haku Yuki. Naruto replied, pointing to each member of his group. Haku, Naruto, could it really be? Rei thought to herself. May I ask who your mothers were? Haku, Naruto. My mother's name was Akino. What does th? That was all Haku got out before she was tackled into a hug faster than anyone could see. I thought you were dead, Haku. I searched everywhere for years for some sign of you, but I couldn't find anything. Rei said as tears came to her eyes. What do you mean? Asked a very confused Haku. Akino was my older sister. I am your aunt. I have family still alive. Haku asked, getting a nod from Rei before Haku hugged the older woman this time. After a few minutes, Rei turned to Naruto waiting for his answer. My mother's name was Kushina Uzumaki. As Naruto said this, even more people came out of hiding and began bowing to Naruto. Naruto just stood there not knowing exactly what to do. What's going on? Welcome home, Prince Naruto. Rei said, shocking the 5 ninja, especially Naruto. Your mother, Princess Kushina, was next in line to run the land of whirlpools. But before that could happen, Uzu came under attack and almost everyone was forced to leave. Since she was your mother, that rightfully makes you the next to take over. How do you know his mother, and what connection does the Yuki clan have with the Uzumaki? Zabuza asked. The Yuki clan settled down here while the leadership of this village was under Ashina Uzumaki. Ashina was friends with the clan head of the Yuki at the time, and Ashina offered the Yuki a place to stay. We weren't large in numbers yet, but you could say this is where the clan started. During the time Uzushio came under attack, members of the Yuki and Uzumaki were sent away from the battle. Kushina ended up in Konoha and Akino went to Kiri, while I traveled around. Kushina, Akino, and I kept in touch as much as possible. When I heard of Kurumi's attack on Konoha and your parents' deaths, I went to see if I could raise you, but they had said you died as well. When the civil war started in Kiri, I tried to find Akino and Haku, but I didn't have any luck there either. Not knowing what else to do, the remaining Yuki members decided to return here. Rei explained. You know about the fox? Maizu asked. Rei nodded in response. A few times when I visited Kushina, she pulled me into her mindscape and I met the fox. Kushina and Kurumi were best friends, which is why I was shocked to learn that Kurumi had attacked Konoha. What happened to Kurumi? Naruto made a set of hand signs as he gathered his chakra. Kyuubi Bunshin. The red aura surrounded Naruto before leaving his body and taking on the form of a human body. Everyone watched as a young woman with fox ears and 9 tails appeared. It's been a long time, Rei. Kurumi said with a smile towards the woman. Kurumi, so Kushina's boy became the next Jinchuriki. I only have one question. Why did you attack Konoha? Rei asked. It was against my will. I was ripped out of Kushina on the night she gave birth to Naruto. I was placed under a genjutsu by an Uchiha. I had no idea what happened until I was in the process of being resealed by Minato. Kurumi explained to the clan head. Rei and Kurumi shared a quick hug before Rei turned back to Naruto. So what are your plans, Naruto? I want to restart the village and bring it back to its former glory. I want to offer anyone who needs it a place to settle down and call home, and I want to seek out the other Jinchuriki. If they had a life like I had, I want to offer them a place where they won't be hated for what they hold. Naruto stated in a serious tone. This caused Rei and Kurumi both to smile at the young blonde. Just like your mother was, she always wanted the best for everyone. Let's show you around the village, then we can start coming up with ways to achieve your goals. Rei said as she led them through the village. It had been a couple days since the Hokage had revealed to the village what had happened to Naruto. He revealed who his parents were and the reason why Minato wanted him seen as a hero. In the Hokage's office sat two older men. One was the third Hokage himself, Hiruzen Sarutobi. The other was one of the Hokage's students, the Gamma Sennin, Jiraiya. Have you been able to find any trace of him, Jiraiya? Asked the Kage. I haven't been able to find a trace of him, but I may have an idea of where he went. Replied the Toad Sage. And where would that be? I would say he headed toward Uzushio. If he has a relationship with the fox like Kushina did, then they have already met. She probably told him of his parents and where Kushina came from, and he left to find it. Uzushio is his home, old man, and you know that. Jiraiya replied. I want you to go and see if he is there. If he is, then try and convince him to return. Hiruzen said. Alright, but I want to take a few people with me. And who would that be? Asked Hiruzen, curious as to why he wanted others to go with him. I want to take the Uchiha, Anko, and Yugao. Those three were some of the few that were close to Naruto, and maybe they can help me convince him to return. Jiraiya explained. Hiruzen nodded and focused a little bit of chakra in his knee and touched a seal underneath the desk. A few seconds later, and an Anbu with a bear mask was kneeling in front of the desk. Bear, I want you to find Sasuke Uchiha, Anko Madarashi, and Yugao Azuki and bring them here immediately. Hi Hokage-sama. And with that, bear was gone. At one of the many training grounds around Konoha, Teams 7, 8, 9, and 10 were all gathered together for group training. Sai had replaced Naruto's position on Team 7 after the Kage had looked over the available candidates to do so. It had been a long last few days for some of Konoha, especially those that were close to the missing blonde. 3 of those that were close to him was the last Uchiha, the next clan head of the Aburame clan, and the weapon mistress of Team 9. Naruto and Tenten had known each other early on in life, growing up together in the orphanage. Shino had become friends with Naruto after Naruto didn't ignore him for being different due to the Kikaichu in his body. Sasuke slowly became friends with Naruto after he and the blonde started hanging out more and got to know each other. The 3 genin had been having a hard time keeping their anger in check since the Hokage had addressed the village. Most of the villagers were just glad the demon child was gone and didn't want to believe he was the son of their beloved 4th Hokage. They were hoping to be able to blow off some steam and calm down slightly, but today that just wasn't going to happen. Where do you think Naruto is at? Kiba asked. He was never close to Naruto, but he did enjoy playing pranks during the academy with the blonde. Who cares where he is? We didn't need a demon running loose around the village anyways. Sakura screeched. Forehead is right, what would have happened if the demon would have got free? The village is better off without the baka. Ain't that right, Sasuke-kun? Ino said, looking over to Sasuke. None of you even knew him, the real him. He always wore a mask around everyone except his friends. Out of all of here, the only ones that saw the real Naruto was me, Shino, and Tenten. We are only a few of the ones that even cared for Naruto. Sasuke growled out. You can't really say you were friends with that demon. Ino and Sakura said in unison. That was all it took to push the 3 genin over the edge. They had tried their best not to let the moronic villagers get to them, but it just wasn't working anymore. Tenten and Sasuke both shot forward in a burst of speed. Tenten unsealed a katana from one of her scrolls and Sasuke unsheathed the ninjutsu, that he had been training to use, from its sheath on his back. Before anyone knew what was going on, Sasuke and Tenten both had their blades at Ino and Sakura's neck. Don't ever talk bad about Naruto-kun again. Tenten growled out as she glared at Sakura. Or it will be the last time you ever do. Sasuke added as he glared at Ino. Just then, Bear, Hubby, and Neko landed in the clearing, causing everyone to break apart. Neko-chan, Hubby-chan, good to see you again, Tenten said while Sasuke and Shino waved. Neko and Hubby gave a slight wave as Bear cleared his throat. Sasuke Uchiha, Lord Hokage wishes to see you immediately. Sasuke nodded as he resheathed his blade and walked over to the trio of Anbu. In a swirl of leaves, all four ninja disappeared from sight. The group reappeared in front of the Hokage and Jiraiya. Thank you, Bear. Dismissed. Bear nodded and disappeared. The three remaining ninja bowed to the leader of the village. He motioned for Neko and Hubby to remove their masks since he knew Sasuke knew who they were before he spoke. You three are going with Jiraiya here. He believes he knows where Naruto ran away to and you four need to try and convince him to return. Like hell we are, was the shared thought going through their heads at the moment. However, they just nodded and turned to Jiraiya. We leave in 30 minutes, pack whatever you need and meet me at the gate. Jiraiya said as he disappeared, a few seconds after, and the remaining three left as well. Underneath Konoha in a hidden base, sat an elderly man covered in bandages. He was currently looking over some information on his desk. In front of the desk were three ninja with blank white Anbu masks on. These were ninja of Root. What are your orders, Danzo-sama? Asked one of the ninja in a monotone voice. It seems as though that old fool let our weapon get away. We need to find another one before the other villages learn of this. Danzo replied as he shuffled through some papers. He stopped on a piece of paper that had a picture of green-haired girl with orange eyes. She had a short sleeveless midriff shirt with fishnet armor underneath it. She had white arm warmers and fishnet shorts covered by a short white apron skirt. This was Jinchuriki to the Nanabi. It seems as though Taki no longer wants their Jinchuriki due to not feeling safe anymore. You three head to Taki and bring the girl back to me. I will make her a weapon like the boy was supposed to be. Danzo said. Hi Danzo-sama. The three replied before vanishing. Had led the group of 6 around the village, showing them different places and things that would need fixed. The last place to show them was the Uzukage Tower. They made their way to the top and walked into the office. We have tried to keep everything as clean as possible. Ray said. It's alright. This is bigger than the Hokage's office. Naruto said as he looked around. So do you plan on taking the seat now? Haku asked. Naruto just shook his head. I'm nowhere near strong to take the cage seat yet. We will need to find someone to take the seat until I can become strong enough to protect the village. Ray walked behind the desk and opened a drawer and pulled out a scroll. She then walked over and gave it to Naruto. This is the dragon summoning contract. The last one to use it was your mother. Work with the dragons to become stronger, Naruto. It's getting late, so we should probably get you 5 settled in for the night. Ray said as she motioned for the group to follow her. Jiraiya, Sasuke, Anko, and Yugao were jumping through the trees as fast as they could. All 4 wanted to reach Uzushio as quickly as possible, although 3 of them had different reasons than the 4th member of their group. The sun was starting to set and Jiraiya landed on the ground in a small clearing surrounded by the forest. We'll rest here for the night. We'll be able to reach Uzushio by early morning. Hopefully the Gaki hasn't left yet if this is where he is really at. Jiraiya said. He began setting up his tent. Jiraiya-sama, may I ask how you know Naruto-kun? I didn't know one of the legendary Sannin knew him personally. Yugao asked. Before Jiraiya could respond, the 3 ninja heard Sasuke snickering as he sat leaned up against a tree watching them. What's so funny? Jiraiya asked, confused. Remember when I learned how you knew Naruto and the way I reacted? Sasuke asked, getting a nod from Jiraiya. When you tell this too, you better take off running. Sasuke said with a laugh. What does he mean, Jiraiya-sama? Anko asked this time while slowly drawing a kunai. Jiraiya was starting to get nervous as the two females started moving toward him. He slowly started backing up, trying to find a way to run just in case he needed to. He was supposed to be there to protect and raise Naruto, he's Naruto's godfather. Sasuke said before Jiraiya could get away. The air temperature around the area suddenly dropped as Anko and Yugao both glared at Jiraiya. In one swift motion, Yugao unsealed two katanas and threw one to Anko, then the duo proceeded to chase after Jiraiya. I really hate you, kid. Jiraiya shouted over his shoulder. Sasuke just shrugged and went into his tent to rest. Back in Uzu, Naruto and the rest of his group were settling into their beds for the night as well. Deep within Naruto's mind, Kurumi sat meditating, focusing on a dormant link in the back of her mind. As she focused more and more, she felt a tug on her conscience and let it take her. A few seconds later she was sitting in front of a small fire in a large open room. She pulsed her chakra and waited for the others to join her from within their own Jinchuriki. In Suna, the one-tailed Tanuki smiled from within his container. So Ne-chan has finally decided to call us all together, huh? Shukaku said to himself before following the pull. In Water Country, the six-tailed slug along with the three-tailed turtle let a small smile appear on their faces before they too followed the pull on their conscience. Somewhere within the borders of Iowa, the four-tailed monkey and five-tailed dolphin horse let the pull take them as well. In the forest surrounding Taki, the seven-tailed horn beetle flew happily around her container's mindscape. About time Ne-chan brings us all together again, she said before landing and allowing herself to be pulled to her brethren. In Land of Lightning, in the hidden village of Kumo, the two-tailed cat and eight-tailed octopus felt the pull and went along with it. Soon all 9 Biju were setting around the fire for the first time in a long time. It's been a long time since we have been here, Shukaku said looking around at his brothers and sisters. Why have you brought us all here, Ne-chan? I mean, I'm glad to see you all, but it doesn't seem like this is much of a social visit. Chome asked, causing all eyes to be focused on Kurumi. You're right, Chome. I have brought you all here to ask if you think any of your containers would like a home where they won't be looked down on for holding us. Asked Kurumi. How can you provide us with this place? Asked Isobu with slightly wide eyes. My third container is in Uzumaki and is the Prince of Uzushio. We aren't currently in the village now along with a few others. He wants to rebuild the village and was wanting to start with the other Jinchuriki. Kurumi said. Now I may not be the smartest of us here, but at most shouldn't you only be on your second host now? Shukaku asked. You're right, I should only be on my second host. My second host was Kushina Uzumaki, Princess of Uzushio. On the night she was to give birth to her son, I was forcefully ripped from her seal and placed under a genjutsu by an Uchiha. When I finally broke free from the genjutsu, I had impaled both Kushina and her husband, Minato Namikaze. Before they died, they used what strength they had and sealed me inside their son, my current host. Kurumi explained as a few tears fell from her eyes, not noticing as Isobu's eyes widened even more. My host seems happy where he is, I don't think he would want to leave Iowa. Said Son Goku, getting a nod of agreement from Kokuo. Same can be said for us, Ne-chan. Although we do appreciate the offer, we will be staying in Kumo. Matabi said with Gyuki agreeing. That's fine, I just wanted to ask and let you know you have a place just in case. What about you, Shukaku? Kurumi asked. I'm not really sure. The seal on my host takes all the rage and destruction from me and channels it through my host. I have tried to make contact with him, but he just seems to drive him even crazier. I need someone with experience in seals to look at it and fix it. Shukaku explained. Uzu was known for their fuinjutsu. I'll see if Naruto can find something. What about you, Chome? Kurumi said looking toward the beetle. I'm sure Fu would like somewhere else to live. Her village has basically already got rid of her. She lives in the forest surrounding the village and hardly ever goes into the village itself. Replied the beetle. Kurumi nodded while she started thinking. Have her head toward the hidden hot water village. I will tell Naruto in the morning and we can head out immediately and meet you there in about 2 days. Kurumi said before turning to the slug and the turtle. My host is happy wandering around the elemental nations. However, I will let him know of the offer and if he wants we will head that way. Replied Saiken. Helping my host might be a bit harder. My host's name is Yagura, the current Mizukage of Kiri. Isobu said, causing all the others' eyes to widen. Like you were Nei-chan, Yagura and I are under a genjutsu and no matter what I try to do, I can't break it. If you could come and help us I am sure he would be more than happy to join with Uzushio. Explained the turtle. Very well, I will let Naruto know in the morning and after we get Fu, I'm sure he will want to come and help you out as well. You all stay safe. Kurumi said as everyone said their goodbyes before they all left the room. Naruto slowly woke the next morning as he sat up and stretched. As he looked outside and saw the sun in the sky, he noticed it must have been around 9. Nei-chan almost always has me get up by 7, wonder if something is wrong. Naruto thought to himself as he got into a meditating position. Soon he was standing in front of the house he had thought up for Kurumi after meeting her for the first time. Not seeing her outside the house, he walked in and started to look around. After making his way upstairs, he found her asleep in her bedroom. He walked over and sat next to her and gently shook her awake. She rolled over and looked at him with sleepy eyes. Morning Ototo, why are you up so early? She asked with a yawn. It's about 9 o'clock Nei-chan. Normally you have already woken me up by now, everything okay? Naruto asked with a little bit of worry. Kurumi sat up finally remembering what had took place the night before and why she felt like she was low on energy. I have some news Naruto, but first we should gather the others and discuss it together. Alright, I'll go find them and make your clone once we're all together. Naruto replied as he faded from his mind. Naruto quickly hopped in the shower of the small house he was staying in and cleaned himself up a bit. He put on his black Anbu pants and a dark red shirt with the Uzumaki swirl on the back. He put the bracelets that had his weapons sealed in them back on his wrist and strapped on his black sandals. Making sure he had everything he needed, he rushed out the door nearly running into Rei. My apologizes Naruto-sama, Rei said while bowing. It was my fault, I was in a hurry. And please, no Sama stuff, I'm not for honorifics. Naruto said getting a nod from Rei. Would you happen to know where Haku and the others are? Kurumi Nei-chan wants to talk to all of us. They're in the middle of town looking around, I was just on my way there if you would like to join me. Rei asked as Naruto nodded and started walking beside her. It was quiet for a few minutes before Rei broke the silence. So do you plan on becoming Uzukage soon? One day but not anytime soon. I'm too young and much too weak right now to protect the village. We need someone who can make the right choices and is strong enough to lead the village. Why haven't you taken up Kage position? Naruto replied. For one, it isn't my place to take. Me and my clan returned in hopes of finding other Uzumaki. Another thing is to be Uzukage, you have to have Uzumaki blood, none of us here are part Uzumaki. Rei explained. Naruto stayed quiet for a few minutes before he remembered something he had learned in the academy. I may know someone who could fill the Kage seat. She is a Senju and the granddaughter of Hashirama Senju and Mito Uzumaki, so she has the Uzumaki blood in her. Rei thought it over before nodding in agreement. The Senju and Uzumaki were distant cousins anyway, so why not someone born with both blood? She looked forward and saw they were at the center of town. Let's find the others and learn what Kurumi knows. After checking around for a few minutes and searching a few nearby buildings, the duo soon found the 4 ninja they were looking for. Naruto went through hand signs for the Kyuubi clone, a few seconds later and Kurumi was standing there with them. She started to talk but was soon stopped when she and Naruto sensed 4 chakra signatures coming closer to the village. You feel them too, right Ototo? Kurumi asked looking toward the gate of the village. Yeah, 3 of them I know too. This ought to be fun. Naruto replied with a smirk as he made 3 shadow clones and then all 4 unsealed the Aki no Shi from their wrist bracelets and leapt off. Where's he going? Zabuza asked. I thought you all had something to tell us. We have visitors, Kurumi said as she walked toward the gate. The other ninjas soon followed after her and were all waiting as the gate. The other ninja at first thought the fox may have went a little crazy, but after 5 minutes of waiting, they too felt the chakra. About 10 more minutes later, 4 ninja landed near the gate, 1 kid, 2 women, and 1 older man. As everyone stood there, quietly looking over the others, only Kurumi saw Naruto move from the shadows. Before anyone could move, Naruto and his clones had their blades placed against the ninjas' necks. You know Yugao-chan, you should have been able to sense me coming, Naruto said as he and the clones removed their blades and resealed them and dispelled. Yugao then turned around and wrapped Naruto in a hug. Naruto-kun, it's good to know you are safe. And do you really think I could find the one person to hide from every single Anbu in Konoha? Yugao said as Anko gave Naruto a hug and he bumped fist with Sasuke before looking at Jiraiya. Naruto stared the man down for a few seconds as Jiraiya did the same. So, you finally decided to come looking for me, huh, Godfather? Naruto said, surprising everyone around him. How did you know? Jiraiya asked, shocked. My mother and father's scrolls that left me had a few pictures in them. One was of you and Dad, and Mom had left a letter explaining who you were and what you did and saying that I shouldn't let you corrupt me with your perverted ways. I understand why you were never around due to your spy network, but that doesn't make it right to just leave me alone. You have a lot to make up for, Jiraiya, Naruto stated as he turned back to Kurumi. Let's go back so you can explain what you needed to tell us. As the group of ninjas made their way back to the middle of town so they could all talk, Naruto explained who Kurumi was, which shocked the group of Konoha ninja. Naruto explained his plans for Uzushio and that Zabuza was his new sensei along with Haku being on his team. They made it to a small restaurant to have breakfast and talk. Last night I contacted the other Biju and offered them a place to stay like you said you wanted, Naruto. Most of them are happy where they are and I told them if they ever needed a place to stay, Uzushio is always available. The one-tailed Tanuki is sealed in a boy in Suna and said his seal was messed up. Naruto is good with seals, but he is nowhere near mastering them enough to fix one of the Jinchuriki's seals, so that leaves you. Kurumi explained as she looked towards Jiraiya. Jiraiya thought it over and was surprised that the fox knew he was a seal master. But after thinking about it for a few minutes, he remembered that Kushina was also friends with the fox. I will see what I can get done once I get back to Konoha. Kurumi nodded and started talking again. My younger sister, the seven-tailed beetle, is sealed in a young girl named Fu. She is from Taki and has had almost as bad a life as you have, Naruto. I told Chome to have Fu head towards the hot water hidden village and we would meet them there. The host of the six-tailed slug is wandering around water country and said he would talk to his host about coming here. The only other one who agreed to come so far may be a bit of a problem to help. Kurumi said, a little sad. Why do you say that, Nei-chan? Naruto asked, wondering what was so bad. Kurumi looked toward the 4 Kiri missing nin before speaking. The 3-tailed turtle is sealed in Yagura, the current Mizukage. The 4 former Kiri ninja just sat there shocked before Zabuza spoke up. It is going to be close to impossible to get him out of Kiri, especially with the civil war between the rebels and Yagura's men. The Mizukage is being controlled by a genjutsu just as I was when I attacked. Maybe we can talk to the rebels and join them to stop the war and in return bring Yagura back with us. We can think it over as we head to meet with Fu and Chome. But we need to get going. I told Chome we would meet them in a few days. Kurumi said, getting nods from everyone. As everyone began leaving, Jiraiya pulled Naruto aside with the other Konoha ninja. I am going to get straight to the point. Hokage-sama asked me to convince you to come back to Konoha. I asked for these 3 to come along and help me get you back, kid. Naruto looked at Sasuke, Anko, and Yugao before turning back to Jiraiya with a smirk. You really think these three would try and convince me to return? They probably came along just because Gigi asked them to and because they wanted to see me. Jiraiya turned to look at the trio as Anko spoke up. Hokage-sama more than likely knew we wouldn't help you convince Naruto-kun to return. He had us come along just because you asked for us. The trio then took turns giving Naruto a hug or a fist bump before getting ready to leave. Be safe out there, Naruto-kun, I don't want you getting hurt. Yugao said. I will be, I promise. I'll see you all in about a month for the Chunin exams. I heard Konoha was hosting them this year. Naruto replied. I guess we'll see you then. Later, Ototo. Sasuke said and stated, walking away with the two females. Later, Aniki. Naruto said before turning to Jiraiya. This is my home now, Jiraiya. I ain't returning to Konoha. I need you to do me a favor though, you me at least that much. Jiraiya sighed, shaking his head. What is it, Gaki? I need you to find your old teammate Tsunade Senju. We need a Kage and only someone with Uzumaki blood can take the title of Uzukage. Please find her as soon as you can and ask her to at least visit me here. Naruto said, getting a nod from Jiraiya as he began walking away. Naruto turned to find Zabuza and Haku waiting on him. Ready to go, Naruto-kun? Asked Haku, getting a raised eyebrow from Zabuza and a slight blush from Naruto. Yeah, but where are Maizu and Gozu? Asked Naruto. They're gonna try and gather some bounties to help with rebuilding the village. This trip is just the three of us until we find this girl we're looking for. Zabuza said as they started heading out. They were stopped by Ray walking up to them. Here, Haku, I wanted to give these to you. They belonged to your mother before her passing. I brought them back here in hopes of giving them to you one day, and now is the time. They will take time to master, but I know you can do it. Ray said as she handed Haku a scroll. Haku unrolled the scroll and unsealed the items in it. Out of the scroll came two weapons that had a long blade coming from the handle with two smaller curved prongs projecting from the sides. The handles were wrapped in a dark blue fabric with a thin piece of red fabric circling the handles. The blades were a light blue color and a snowflake-like pattern on the blades. After looking over the weapons, she sealed them in a seal on her wrist that Naruto had drew for her. Thank you, Ray Oba-chan. Haku said, giving Ray a hug before heading out with Naruto and Zabuza. Had been 3 days since Naruto, Haku, and Zabuza had left Uzu and headed for the hot water village. They moved quickly, only stopping for the night or to rest shortly before continuing on their way. What time they did stop was used for some extra training, with Naruto being taught by Zabuza to better wield his mother's blade, and Haku practicing with her new weapons with notes her mother left for her. As the trio neared the village, they landed and walked along the road, hoping to not draw too much attention to them. As the trio entered the village, Kurumi spoke to Naruto. Ototo, I can feel Chome's chakra, she seems to be on the opposite side of town. Thanks, Nei-chan. Naruto thanks Kurumi as he motioned for the others to follow. Nei-chan said she can feel Chome's chakra on the other side of town. The three then started walking a bit faster, hoping to find the girl and then be on their way. A few minutes later, and Naruto stopped outside a small cafe and turned to look inside. Kurumi says she is in here. Wait here since we don't know how well she'll react to all of us at once. I'll be back out in a minute. Be careful, Naruto-kun, Haku said, getting a nod from the blonde before he entered the cafe. Zabuza stood there looking at his adoptive daughter with a small smile, not that it could be seen behind his bandages. You like him, don't you, Haku? Zabuza asked as he led Haku to a bench and sat down. Haku turned to her father with a small blush on her face. Of course, Naruto is a good friend from the short time we have known him. Zabuza just chuckled lightly before speaking. I know that, but that isn't what I meant. You like him as more than a friend. I see the way you look at him, Haku, and the sudden addition of kun to his name. Haku looked to the ground for a few minutes before speaking. I honestly don't know, Dad. I have never felt like this before and I'm not sure what it is. Don't worry about it too much right now, Haku, you will figure soon enough. There is one thing though, and it has to do with Naruto. Zabuza said, getting Haku's full attention. He is the last known living male of the Uzumaki clan and he wants to restart said clan. There is a chance that Naruto will need more than one wife in order to do that. Haku. I'm not saying he will, but if you decide you like Naruto, you need to be sure you can share him with someone else. As Haku started to reply, Naruto busted through the glass of the cafe carrying a mint-haired girl bridal style. Looking around for a second, he saw Haku and Zabuza and ran toward them. Run, now. Naruto entered the cafe and looked around the area sensing for chakra signatures. He noticed a girl sitting in the back corner of the cafe. She had short, mint green hair with a small orange clip that matched her eye color. She had on a short, sleeveless white midriff shirt with fishnet armor underneath, long white armlets, and fishnet shorts with a short white apron skirt over it. Naruto could feel her Bijuu's chakra and walked back toward her. As he need Fu, she noticed him and become tense. Naruto noticed this and put his hands up showing he didn't mean to hurt her. Hello Fu, my name is Naruto Uzumaki, Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Kitsune. Fu's eyes widened slightly. This was supposed to be the person Chome had said would meet her here. How do I know you're telling the truth? Naruto sat down across from the girl and held out his fist. After a few seconds, Fu bumped fists with Naruto and was pulled into her mind. When she opened her eyes, she was standing across from Naruto. What really caught her attention though was the large fox standing behind him. All of a sudden the fox began to shrink in size before a woman stood in the fox's place. My name is Kurumi, I am the nine-tailed fox. It is a pleasure to meet you Fu. Kurumi said with a smile. Then out of nowhere, Kurumi was tackled into a hug by another woman. The woman stood just under 5.5 feet tall and had long, flowing green hair that reached her waist and was a few shades darker than Fu's. She had a green kimono on along with brown sandals. She also had 7 tails behind her. Hello Chome, Kurumi said, causing Fu to widen her eyes. Wait, you're Chome. Where's the large flying beetle? Fu asked surprised. This is my human form Fu-chan, just like you saw Kurumi ne change, so can I. Chome explained. Listen Fu, we're to offer you a place to live, to call home. No one will look down at you or treat you differently just because you are a Jinchuriki. What do you say? Naruto asked with a smile. You promise no one will treat me differently? Fu replied. I promise. Everyone back home knows about Kurumi and except both of us. They will accept you too. Naruto replied, causing Fu to smile and nod. Naruto, we have a problem. There are people in the cafe headed toward you and Fu. We need to get out of here now, I can sense their negative emotions. Kurumi said as she quickly pushed everyone out of the shared mindscape. As Naruto came back to his own mind, he looked up and saw the blank Anbu masks. What the hell is Root doing here? Your father's journals said to never trust Danzo. Maybe he sent them to Taki after Fu in order to have a Jinchuriki and they followed her here. Either way, we need to get out of here and lead them away from the village. The 4 of you together should be able to deal with them. I sense 4 here and another 4 waiting outside. Replied the fox. We need you to come with us back to Konoha Naruto Uzumaki along with this young girl. Said one of the Root members. Naruto reached into his pouch and pulled out a smoke bomb before throwing it in front of the Root ninja. He jumped out of his seat and picked Fu up bridal style before running for the exit. One of the Root members from outside stepped in to see what was happening and blocked the door. So Naruto took the next best route and busted through the window. He looked around for Zabuza and Haku and found them on a bench. He ran toward them as they stood and looked at him. Run now, Naruto shouted as he ran by them with them both on his heels. What the hell is going on, kid? Zabuza asked. Enemy ninja after me and Fu, get them away from the village and then take them out. I want at least one kept alive. Naruto said as he continued to run with Fu in his arms. No one noticed the slight look of jealousy on Haku's face as they all ran. About time something interesting happens, I was starting to get bored. Zabuza laughed. Naruto and his group made it to a small clearing, where he placed Fu back on her feet and the four waited for the root ninja to arrive. A few seconds of waiting and the 8 ninja arrived in front of them. The two groups just stared each other down for a few minutes. Not wanting to wait any longer, Zabuza sped through a set of hand seals. Water style. Water dragon jutsu. Zabuza yelled as a large dragon made of water came to life behind him. The root ninja barely had time to dodge as the dragon made contact with the ground right where they were standing. As the root ninja scattered, the other 4 ninjas split up as well, each going after 2 of the root ninja. 2 of the root ninja made the mistake of going toward a small stream that sat on the edge of the clearing. Zabuza smirked evilly as he followed after them before he shunshined onto the water in front of them. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. The 2 ninja shouted as 2 large fire balls flew at Zabuza. Zabuza just smirked as he made his own set of seals. Water style. Water wall. A wall of water surrounded Zabuza as the fire and water collided, covering the area in steam. Zabuza created a water clone in the cover of the steam and had it make its way behind the root ninja. As the steam cleared, the 2 ninjas saw Zabuza still standing on the water. They began going through more hand signs before the clone appeared behind them. The clone sliced Kubikiribocho through one before kicking the other onto the water where Zabuza caught him in his water prison. You should have known better than to attack the demon of the hidden mist. Zabuza said with an evil smile as he tightened the water prison, crushing the ninja inside. Haku led the 2 ninja, following her away from the others where she wasted no time in dealing with both opponents, using her demonic mirroring ice crystals to quickly end the both of them. The 2 that were following Fu managed to push her back toward Naruto where the 2 now stood back to back. Just come with us back to Konoha, we do not wish to harm either of you. One of the ninjas said. Yeah right, that mummified bastard Danzo just wants to turn us into mindless drones like you. No thanks, we'll pass. Naruto replied. Then you leave us no choice but to use force. Another said as 2 of the root ninjas rushed in. Naruto and Fu both made a few hand signs. Shoten. Crystal blades. 2 curved blades of crystal formed from Naruto's forearms, think Crow Claw from Deadman Wonderland. Water style. Water blade. A blade of water surrounded Fu's hand and arm up to her elbow. The 2 root ninja pulled a kunai and continued their rush. The one in front of Naruto went to slash as his neck, only to be blocked by Naruto's crystal blade. Naruto pushed the ninja back and made a set of hand signs. Shoten. Striking spear. Naruto yelled as he slammed his hand on the ground, causing spears of crystal to skewer the ninja from below. The root ninja rushed Fu, but instead of a kunai he drew a tanto. He was thinking that she wouldn't be that strong, but found out he was wrong when she held him back with her own blade. All of a sudden, Fu quickly pulled a kunai from her pouch and drove into the man's neck. With those 2 dead, there were only 2 ninja remaining. Next thing the root ninja knew, they were surrounded, Naruto and Fu in front of them and Zabuza and Haku behind them. You have one chance to not end up like the others. Either leave now or you both will die. We will leave for now, but Danzo-sama will have one of you Jinchuriki. One of the remaining ninjas said. Tell Danzo that the Kyuubi and the Nanabi will never be his. The next time someone from Root comes after us, he dies by my hand. Naruto growled out. The 2 ninja went to leave until 2 screams of pain were heard from the root ninja. In one swift motion, Zabuza had used Kubikiribocho to slice off one arm each before they left the area. Naruto looked at Zabuza with a raised eyebrow. Really, sensei? Did you honestly think I was going to let those bastards get away unharmed? They just better be glad you wanted that message delivered, or they wouldn't have walked out of here. Zabuza replied as he turned to the young mint-haired girl. So she is the Jinchuriki for the Nanabi, huh? Yeah. Fu, this is Zabuza Momochi and Haku Yuki. Guys, this is our new teammate Fu. Naruto said with a quick introduction. Let's go find somewhere to eat and discuss what to do next. After finding a place to sit down and eat, Naruto had told Fu what they had planned on doing in order to help Yagura. To say that Fu was shocked was putting it lightly. How are we even going to get near the Mizukage, let alone break him from this genjutsu? Fu asked. I was planning on entering his mind like me and you did when we bumped fist. If we can get close enough to make some kind of contact, we should be able to break the genjutsu from the inside. I'm not really sure about how to get into Kiri though. Naruto said as he started to think about it. I may know someone who can help us with that. She is the leader of the rebellion against Yagura, her name is Mei Terumi. If we can find her rebellion camp, she may be able to get us close enough for you two to break Yagura of this genjutsu. Zabuza spoke up. Do you have any idea on how to find them too, San? Haku asked. They stay close enough to Kiri to keep an eye on Yagura's actions, but far enough away that they would have time to retreat if something would happen. If we head in the general direction of Kiri, we should be able to find them. Zabuza explained as the other three nodded. Alright, to Kiri it is then. Naruto said as Zabuza led the group on the journey to Kiri.